Good morning and welcome to the Winter Equestrian Festival here as we get prepared for today's leg of the four-star division. It's Nations Cup weekend, Florida Coast Equipment presenting that Nations Cup week, and we have one class for our four-star riders today. It's a Table A Speed Meter 45 class, $32,000 in the prize fund, which will make it a world ranking competition. Interestingly, though, we're going to be tracking through who's got their qualification for Sunday's Grand Prix, because remember, Grand Prix this week, Sunday, with Saturday Night Lights being the teams versus teams, 9 nations in Nations Cup action. We've got our first on the approach. Let's remind ourselves of our Week 8 sponsor. When you're looking for the best after you've tried the rest, it's Florida Coast Equipment, your trusted local dealer of choice. Explore their lineup of powerful tractors, versatile RTVs, and agile zero-turn mowers designed for small farms, landscaping, arenas, and more. Our class and live stream sponsor is Dodd Technology, industry leaders in creative design and technology support services for sports, entertainment, corporate, and special events. Visit them online at doddtechnologies.com. And our thanks so much to the support our live stream receives from the US Equestrian Federation and their USEF network powered by Clip My Horse. So, we get going here this morning. Nick Granat and Steve Stevens jointly designing the courses this week. Nick Granat getting the nod as lead designer, although Steve Stevens, of course, with a great feel for Nations Cup Week. He's been designing Nations Cup Week here right, I think, pretty much from the get-go. 2002, the first CSIO held here at the then Palm Beach International Equestrian Center. Zaina Rizvi, Kung Fu, showing us the way around this track. And a little bit like yesterday, in one way, we have the same format. So the WEF Challenge this week was that one-round Table A speed. Today, though, this was always what this class was in circuit. So therefore, the designers, they're not having to look and prepare people for Grand Prix qualification. Zaina, just for your interest, did pick up qualification yesterday. What the designers are doing instead today is they are giving that pure speed class. So we won't see, I think, that aspect of yesterday. It very much felt like the designers were trying to push the riders back a little bit with the course. So the riders had to be quite aggressive. Today, I think the course will invite that little bit more forward riding, and we'll see those riders getting quite comfortable inside the time allowed, notwithstanding that Spencer Smith ended up over 11 seconds inside the eventual time allowed. So Zaina just picking a rail off the cask on the way up the long side there in front of the International Club. And it's a total of 8 faults for Zaina and Kung Fu as our first to go here. Gabriel de Matos Machado is our next to go for Brazil. Brazilian team rider, he actually didn't manage to secure qualification yesterday. So in the first round of Nations Cup tomorrow night, Gabriel is going to be hoping to be one of the 20 best riders, faults and time, and pick up his Grand Prix qualification for Sunday. It's a $200,000 Grand Prix on Sunday. Gets a nice little push across there. You just see him shortening up the turn, taking that WEF rainbow fence on a little bit of an angle. Nicolin Sandro, a Sandro boy for the Brazilian rider. Jumping throughout circuit with us, jumped in Fidelity Week 5 and also in the 5-star last week here during Lugano Diamonds Week. And that floral vertical setting up for the Lugano Big Oxer with the water tray underneath it. Interestingly, so far the designers have used those floral wings all the time as a vertical. Every course they've appeared on that material, it has been as a vertical. Now, actually, just worth noting that the wings there on the cask fence. I was just going to talk with the flowers there a moment ago about the wings. The different dimensions and bulk of the wings really do change how a horse sees and therefore jumps a fence. And those cask wings with the little look through, they will create their own effect and impact on the horse's view and approach and confidence in the jump. And we go on to Sean Jobin and Sterhoff's Edinas. Sean, who jumped very, very well in last weekend's two-star Grand Prix, gave us one of the early clear rounds. We were a long time waiting for the jump off to fill up, and then he very nearly set the standard right the way through, pipped by Grace Debney then for the ultimate result. Sean and Sterhoff-Sedinas just through the Dodd Technology double earlier on. Not a member of Ian Miller's Nations Cup team for Saturday night. And Sean, by our records, I think just outside the qualification zone from yesterday's WEF Challenge. So he'll wait and see, of course, because qualification will move down as people decide maybe not to go forward to the Grand Prix. But for the moment, this could be Sean's last time jumping during the four-star tour this week. Recently in action at the very top level up at the World Equestrian Centre in Ocala in their World Cup weekend. Yeah, a element of the cask down, so that's a couple of times that's been down already. So 4 faults for Sean and Sterhoff's-Sedinas, 69.07 as well, the time taken. Winner of last week's WEF Challenge, Ashley Bond, Israeli Olympian. Nations Cup rider for Israel tomorrow night as well. Ashley didn't actually start in the WEF, so she is very, very focused on Nations Cup. And then if she does pick up Grand Prix qualification, she will see that as a bit of a bonus. You see the ones who are really, you know, all in on the Grand Prix as well, that they do ride the WEF. And again, it's also about how much circuit you have ridden so far as well. Ashley's been right with us. Right the way through, so her horse is very familiar. Her horse is, you know, well suited to the arena. We saw that with the WEF Challenge win last week with Donatello. Ashley has, you know, also won the WEF 12 Grand Prix here as well. So she has a good feel. She'll have talked to chef to keep as well, Hans Horn, about the preparation he wants from his riders prior to Nations Cup here on Saturday night as well. So Gabriel de Matos Machado with our only clear round so far, 62.13. This is going to be a shade slower from Ashley, 64.67, but she is clear. Ashley going to ride Donatello in tomorrow night's Nations Cup. Remember, 4:30 if you want to tune in for the first round of 9 teams, and we'll stay on air. Stephen Wild and guests will talk you through the break between the 2 rounds. So we'll start jumping again at 7:30 with the second round of the best 8 teams. Member of the Mexican Nations Cup team 12 months ago, Maya Dennis, Poston LS La Silla. Poston and Maya actually won the evening welcome class here, and Maya also a force to be reckoned with in the Brain Juice U25 series. Scoring a good position last night in the welcome. And the Brain Juice Under-25 semi-final Grand Prix for circuit is tonight. That's another class under lights during this 8th week. And 6:30 first horse in that one. Again, you just see a lot of them now getting a feel. They'll be out watching. They'll have been talking to their trainers. You know, it might well be still for these early riders that was their plan anyway. But you just get that really aggressive move from 2 to 3 from these riders who are going to have a bit of a cut at this class. Maya has that floral vertical down, and it's not a pure straight line. There's a little bit of a bend and a dog leg down to the Lugano on the track there, jumping the Brain Juice. Now, Maya didn't jump the WEF Challenge, although she did jump the opening class of the 4-star tour on Wednesday night, as I said, and won it. But that, again, going back to tactics and horsepower, very much looks like Maya is focused in on the Brain Juice U25 Grand Prix series this weekend. She's our fastest 4-faulter, 61.20 for the moment. and going into that third place. The rider who will be part of the Nations Cup squad for Belgium tomorrow night, Nicola Philippaerts. Nicola, Olympian championship medalist for Belgium, several times over, a 5-star Grand Prix winner, not least here on circuit. RMF Coco de Talma. And again, the Belgians, some did, some didn't. Nicola, for instance, didn't ride the WEF Challenge, the Adequan WEF Challenge yesterday morning, whilst he gets ready for Nations Cup Belgium with the early draw. Nicola will ride the anchor leg with Gonca de Meuse. That was, again, just quite interesting. It's one of the spots of the arena we really get to look, so we can give you that little bit of analysis. Nicola just has a really good turn of foot speed here. You know, a rider as experienced as Nicola has that natural forward pace. He was off there, and actually he did very well to only have the back rail off the brain juice because his horse fell right behind the leg and he had to work very hard. But down at the bottom of the ring, whilst he wasn't as direct as everyone else, 2 to 3, I would say he was as fast as anyone else because he just naturally can move a horse. Just all those years of experience, you see it with the likes of Kent and McLean as well. They might not be taking the most direct routes, but they can be as fast as anyone else. So then when they do slide into also taking the most direct routes, then they're winner all right. He saw it so often when he was at his height here a couple of years ago, Beat Manley as well. So smooth and in control. He didn't look like he was anything like as fast as anyone else, but when the timers stopped, he absolutely was there. Nicola Philippaerts with the single rail down at the brain juice there for RMF Coco de Talma. 13-year-old Balabé de Rouet mare for Stonehill Farm. Delaney Flynn is going to be our next to go. Mamma Mia, qualifier yesterday through to the Grand Prix. Delaney with Windsor Show Stables. Namma Mia, in fact, to be correct. Fantomas de Meuse, the sire. And top 10 finish a couple of times over in the Adequan WEF Challenge for Delaney already. I'll be pleased to have secured qualification against some of those top team riders. This is one of the weeks when we welcome even more riders, even more nations to circuit, because Nations Cup is a real focus for the spring season and has been for many, many years. As I say, the rest of circuit has developed around week 12 and Nations Cup week. They were the original highlights. You see Delaney just sitting. She's working quite hard through her hands. You see the forearms just moving a wee bit, just wanting to balance this horse and bring the shape up. So what she's trying to do is just bring the horse's head and neck up a little bit in front so they're not going on the forehand. And then they're in a great position, a great rhythm to get off the ground over these meter 45 fences. And again, you know, it's something, if you listen to me more than once, you're probably bored of hearing, but, you know, meter 45, same height as a 2-star Grand Prix, but it's going to be that relationship between the jumps, the stride patterns, the colors, the materials used that make this a 4-star level today. And Namma Mia and Delaney Flynn will post a nice round there, 65.8, but it is only our third clear round, so it goes on the ranking based on that 0 score. Rider who's been riding the international circuit up in Central Florida. He's been a class winner at the beginning of the month up there at the World Equestrian Centre. Jad Dana for Lebanon with Fleur de Lis Chéri. Interesting, Jad probably down with quite a few horses for the various different national tours as well. He did not start in the Adequan WEF Challenge, and therefore that immediately, as an individual rider, takes Grand Prix riding on Sunday off the table. But notwithstanding that, he could still go home with an international 4-star class win because he is pacey. You just saw him there jink a little bit out. His horse was being very, very active and engaged and predicting what he wanted to do, and came in quite sharp for him after the brain juice. So he had to move out to get the spot he wanted and the turn he wanted back to the next on course. He achieved that. But again, you know, his horses, Jad, are just so used to going in this pacey fashion for him. You get that anticipation. That's the word I was searching for earlier on. 62.13 to beat. There we are. Jad Dana for the Lebanon is going to go into the lead, but it is not into the lead because he had the 4 faults, and it is actually the front rail off the last for Jad Dana and Fleur de Lis Chéri. So 6th best on 61.97. Nicola Philipparts had also been faster than our current leader, although with a rail. So Gabriel de Matas Machado is still out in front, 62.13, but the door is open. Albi Michan, Alberto and Jack for Israel. Alberto will line out as part of the Israeli team tomorrow night. He's going to be the trailblazer rider taking the first leg with Joint to Cannabis. Joint to Cannabis jumped very well in the Welcome. The Welcome, a nice schooling class. It was very interesting to see, though, some nations take it very, very seriously. Mexico, Israel put a lot of good results on the board. Canada jumped well in the Welcome, particularly the evening one. And one of the points of that class is it gives them an opportunity to school the water. The water judged as an open water for Nations Cup and for Grand Prix on Sunday. Set up with a rail over it on those Welcome classes on Wednesday, so they do have the opportunity to jump it and get their horses used to it. Alberto, again, all that experience coming into play here, because it's kind of blink and you miss it. This smooth course that's been set by Steve and Nick, you know, is riding very well for Alberto. He is just there, 62.62. It is about half a second back from Gabriel Machado and Legoland Sandro. So it is Brazil, Israel, our top 3 at the moment. Delaney Flynn flying the Stars and Stripes then in 4th position. There are 4 clear rounds so far. Well, part of the Miller show jumping dynasty, herself a 2-time Olympian, Amy Miller, will be part of the Canadian team here in Nations Cup action tomorrow night. Canada pushed a very close second last year to Ireland, and they'd like to try and make up that difference. Jelvania and Amy very, very steady there. It's slowed right down over that fence at the bottom of the line. And, you know, again, I could easily be proven wrong here, but you just get the sense that she's not all out to try and get 61 or 62 seconds on the clock. Actually just taking this just turned 11-year-old Cannon mare a little bit steadier than some. Amy also very, very content with a 5th place finish in yesterday's Adequan WEF Challenge, so she can jump the Nations Cup without any sort of monkey on her back about Grand Prix qualification. She can just go in concentrating entirely on the night of jumping for her team. Look to be a little bit left of center of that, which will just give her some more room here up to the cask. Doesn't quite work out. And again, it looked potentially like she hadn't just finished the turn. Maybe the mare just looked for half a stride more of focus and straightness in front of that. And it is that balance. Amy knows, you know, she has a chip in her mind that says, it's a table A speed. I should be pushing it. Coming in and going slowly is so contra-indicated for these guys that she just did try a little bit up to the cask, although you saw her also making the preparation to not try too hard, to give the mare the moment or two to read the jump. So real checks and balances there. It's very, very tricky, especially to come in and get that slow clear. You see it so often, people thinking that that's how they'll end up with a decent check, and then they have an unlucky rail. So 4 late faults there for Amy and Jelvina. And again, that cask, green and white, is rearing its head, is quite influential in our Dodd technologies this morning. Katie Dinan, Tika des Hautes Vents for the multiple World Cup finalist for the USA. Katie was wearing the team coat of the USA in the prestigious Nations Cup of Aachen last year. She's had plenty of team experience over the years, but Aachen is a highlight for absolutely any rider. She then also qualified to ride in the Rolex Grand Slam Grand Prix at the end of the week in the huge grass arena at the Zers. Yeah, and there is the ride I think that Amy Miller wants. You saw Katie just being very, very clear and deliberate with the left hand, holding the horse out very straight, riding towards the international club, and then making a very square turn up to her line. She was at that point carrying 4, whereas Amy hadn't been by that point. And again, that's just going to create, however conscious or unconsciously, just a little bit of a mental difference to the way you would take this on. So Katie Dinan and Tika des Hautes Vents, it is going to be 4 faults for them. As Bruno Diniz das Neves and Gucci Mustard take up the challenge. Bruno is our only rider from Portugal this week, so his only chance to qualify for the Grand Prix was yesterday, and unfortunately that didn't work out for him. So again, in terms of his international horse, Gucci Mustard, this could be his last time in the ring this weekend. And again, you see the balancing act you're on, because he comes in sharp to the weft vertical. He jumps right across it, probably on a little bit more angle than he walked and had planned. But again, that is about relationship and riding and delivering and executing that plan on your horse. So finding himself far right of center, he then ended up with the distance up to the Dodd double not being perfect for them at all. So that ended up being a rail, and that looked like it was going to happen from the way they landed over the weft vertical. I think he saw well off his eye up into the cask there, and he just let the horse go. He had executed a really nice square turn. And I think it's going to be one of the places where this class has won or lost on somebody who can really get very direct over to the cask and leave it standing. But unfortunately, Gucci Mustard again just fell a little bit through the hand, out of balance, and had both parts of that double of verticals down. So that ended up being 12 faults for Bruno and Gucci Mustard here in our Dodd technologies. Well, Marilyn Little is our next to go. Marilyn, very, very highly respected show jumper before she moved over to the code of eventing. Around 2011, 2012, she got up into international advanced eventing, culminating in becoming the Pan Am Games individual gold medalist, and then subsequently riding both codes alongside each other, but now very much back in the show jumping camp and in winning ways as well, with us here on circuit, taking several major classes over the course of the first 7 weeks of circuit. So Olympic van der Noordheuvel, Marilyn there, you just see sitting up. You'd love to be able to let the horse go on when they're in that nice forward way, but that's what the course designers are stopping you from doing, because they're setting up these tests and they're setting up that pinpoint accuracy. But she's an incredible rider against the clock. I remember she used to describe eventing cross country as just an 11-minute jump off, and she absolutely loved it, and that was the rush for her. 62.13 it was to beat 61.87. Marilyn Little becomes our leader. She's been the leader several times over against the clock. Is she going to be pipped today? It is still relatively early days in the Dodd, but that is a very, very good round. Part of the US team that won Pan Am's gold in Santiago de Chile before then being part of the silver medal winning US team last summer in Paris. Olympian Carl Cook with his Paris ride, Caracol de la Roque. Obviously very, very keen on this de la Roque breeding because the horse Foxy de la Roque that won the Super Grand Prix of Global Champions with Victor Betancourt of Luxembourg then was subsequently announced as moving across into Carl's stable, so he's trying to corner the market on the de la Roques. And again, just going to somebody's tactics, their preparation. Week 9 coming up next week, Bainbridge Company's 5-star. That seems like it is Carl's focus because Carl, I don't think we've seen in the white pants in this ring yet this week. So he has not put himself in any way in contention to ride in the Grand Prix on Sunday. That's a nice turn there. He was very, very prompt. A little bit tighter in than some. Of course, a hugely, hugely experienced horse. This is first time over on the East Coast, having, of course, ridden some of the desert circuit at Thermal Desert International Horse Park thus far this spring. And Carl Cook starts his campaign that he hopes will conclude with a victory in the Bainbridge Company's 5-star Grand Prix Saturday night, hence, with a clear round here and Caracol de la Roque in 67.15. Ansgar Holkers Jr.'s Kennedy Z. Ansgar riding Pixel Cave, and Kattenheier is going to be a featured rider in tonight's Brain Juice U25 semi-final Grand Prix. The pair who were top 5 in an earlier Saturday Night Lights Grand Prix during the series. Like a lot of top riders at the youth levels, he's a graduate with a medal of the North American Young Rider Championships, Youth Championships. I should say his was the juniors, the under-18s. Ansgar will turn 20 just after the end of circuit in early May. And notwithstanding the fact that he is very, very looking good in the U25 series, he's also qualified for the senior $200,000 Grand Prix here on Sunday. Ansgar Holkers Jr. and Kennedy going to have their second rail down in that cask fence. So again, it rears its fence, particularly the A part of that double of bright green and white verticals as a little bit of a bogey fence here on this morning's course. The winner of the Martha Jolicoeur Leading Lady Rider Award for Lugano Week 7, Alessandra Volpi. Gracio de Pasci is her ride for this morning's Dodd Technology. And again, Alessandra, she didn't start the Adequan WEF Challenge Cup yesterday, so she's not here in the 4-star tour with the idea of trying to come in, win the Grand Prix. Couple of weeks ago during our first 5-star week, Fidelity Investments Week 5, she took top 10 in the Grand Prix on circuit. Nice to have that 5-star form under your belt. It really does sort of put a crown on your string and give you the confidence and the willingness to carry on through circuit and try and repeat that performance. Again, Alessandra Volpi gets a very nice turn. The horse looking quite long and strung out though by the time they got to that big oxer, but again, they'll know each other inside out. They'll know what they can and can't do. And yet, that turn again, let's say, anyone who wants to go faster than Marilyn Little has to get up there quite direct and leave that cask double standing. Alessandra is fast, 58.96, but it is at the cost of the rail. So she goes into 7th place, the best of the 4s. Harry Charles next to go. Second generation Olympic gold medalist for Great Britain. Harry and Sherlock will take up the Dodd Technologies Challenge this morning. Harry will see lining out as part of the British team tomorrow night. Britain, one of the nations on the roll of honour of Nations Cup results here in Florida at Wellington. Harry and Casco Blue are going to take the anchor leg tomorrow night for Great Britain, going fourth of the riders. Harry again not going all out. One of the things this class does do for Grand Prix or potential Grand Prix riders, as Harry currently is it gives you another horse qualified. Your rider qualification comes from being best 30 in the Adequan WEF Challenge, best 20 individually in the first round of Nations Cup. That's how we get our 50 riders. Their choice of horse then is based on any horse they have that has finished the first round of a Table A competition. So this is a one-rounder, so it's the one and only round. A two-phase competition, it would be the first phase. A two-phase special, in fact, for some whatever reason in the rules, it's both phases, but there you are. Harry Charles and Sherlock, again, it is the A element of the cask. Down 4 faults, 71.52, as he never really looked like he was going all out here today. But the one thing he has done, whilst he does have the 4 faults, is he has Sherlock as an option for Grand Prix on Sunday, alongside his Nations Cup horse, Casco Blue, should he get qualification tomorrow night. And Great Britain certainly would be hoping he'd be one of the best 20. They'd be hoping he's going to be clear in round 1 for them and help propel them through to round 2. One of our teams will end up on the sidelines. Juan Ortiz, who will be the anchor leg rider himself for the Venezuelans. Juan owns and rides Vintage. Vintage is a Verdi horse. Michael van der Vleuten ridden to very, very high level. And actually one of the horses that himself competed to a great age. I think he was still competing in and winning 5-star Grand Prix at 16, 17 years old. You just see the horse. Again, we're talking about riders here who aren't going all out in the speed class. And you just saw from Vintage there perhaps a little bit of confusion down that line from the Flowers to the Lugano. And here now the confusion turns into the horse sitting behind the leg. You know, Vintage is not super sure what Juan Ortiz's plan is. And Juan is now having to work quite hard to get the horse to move forward and engage with these jumps. 69.39, it's clear, it's slow. Goes into 7th at the moment. It'll be beaten by a few more clears before the day is out in the Dodd Technologies, but they are a 0 score. Another part of the Venezuelan team for tomorrow night, Alejandro Carroli and Claridette. Claridette by Douglas. Douglas Clarimo. Lovely breeding on this one, actually, when you put those together. Of course, Dougie Douglas. Katie Dynan's top horse at one stage, one of the most valuable horses to ever come out of auction in Ireland. Holly Gillett, Holly Smith had Dougie Douglas as a Nations Cup horse. But anyway, he was by RVDL Douglas. That's the point I was eventually getting round to. Mentioning VDL, they were our partners last night for the WEF Sport Horse Auction. And if you are interested in catching up, of course, your moment to buy any of those horses has passed. But if you're interested in catching up, that is part of the live stream available as video on demand from our week 8 here. Not too many problems so far at the Dodd Technologies, and a lot of those problems have been set up by the way you jump the WEF at the bottom of that line. But also I would suggest that the materials are very, very tricky. They're quite black prominent in terms of the colors. There's that little bit of red highlighting here and there, but in a bright sunny day, that will really sort of be a light soak for the horses. And all those aspects of what the horses see and how they regard a jump, the colors, is really, really fascinating. And it's a huge part of what the designers do and their thinking with the materials they have to hand. Alejandro here just, you just get that sense of, kind of a driver working up and down through the gears. He just wants to confirm that he has all the tools in his toolbox here in terms of steering, impulsion coming back to him. He ended up with the cask down as well, but I think, if you're not super focused on delivering against that jump, you'll have it down quite easily. And Alejandro at that stage was into the sense of sort of kind of schooling his horse, having felt that the horse just didn't react to what he needed and wanted, going to the Dodd technologies a touch earlier. Tout de Tremble and Nicole Walker will, I think, take us up to the drag break here for Canada. Nectar de Forêt, the Sol Francais Sire. Father of this one for Nicole. I say Nicole has posted some good results over the course of the weekend. She was super snug there to the left-hand side of the WEF. Is she going to get the Dodd? And she rides the right bit of it. That, center white stripe is the most inviting part of that. But again, talking about poles, you've got the horizontal stripes on the Duta straight after. You've got that very, very unusual green color on the Brain Juice. I know probably they're seeing it at least one class of circuit. The Lugano, that French grey, it's easier there with the slightly darker grey stripes on it, but there are rails that are pure Lugano French grey throughout, and they are very, very difficult for the horses to read. It's a very, very high level jump. I saw last week the Lugano triple combination using a mixture of the plain and the striped rails to just help the horses understand the whole gymnastic question. And as I said, Nicole having a very good week with us here, and none less than going into the lead now in the Dodd technology in 61.68. So the rails being lifted here in the International Ring at WEF 8, Florida Coast Equipment Week, in our Dodd Technology Meter 45 Table A speed. $32,000 in the prize fund. And Nicole Walker just walking out of the ring. And Tout de Tremble, they are our leaders with 61.68 being the time to beat. The very fast US rider Marilyn Little and Olympic van der Noordhoevel sitting second. Gabriel de Matos Machado from very early in the draw for Brazil and Legoland Sandro, they are in third. They are the best three of what is now 7 clear rounds, which includes US Olympic medalist Carl Cook and Caracol de la Roque. Well, we'll see how it plays out as you'll rejoin us in about 10 minutes to continue and conclude this morning's Dodd Technology 4-Star International.
Champion Equine Insurance. Unparalleled knowledge, integrity, and customer service to provide the best protection for your champion and the peace of mind you deserve. Champion Equine Insurance. Insure your champions with a champion.
A bottle of Chrome Horse Society tequila is the sign that you are in the right place at the right time with the right people. It is tequila redefined. Unapologetically modern and always a ride to remember. Chrome Horse Society Tequila is the official tequila of the 2025 Winter Equestrian Festival. Please sip responsibly.
Paying attention to the smallest detail. Getting to the destination the most efficient way possible. Ensuring all individual elements are working together to drive high performance. And making sure you do it consistently. Being the best comes down to perfect execution. That's not just good show jumping. That's good railroading. We love a sport that rewards precision.
Just a small town girl living in a lonely world. She took the midnight train going anywhere. A singer in a smoky room, a smell of wine and cheap perfume. For a smile they can share the night. It goes on and on and on and on. Strangers waiting somewhere. Don't stop believing. Hold on to that feeling. Street light people.
Thanks for walking us through the plan.
You guys heading up north soon?
Yeah, got Lizzie for a couple weeks this summer.
Taking her fishing, I hope. That's the plan.
Doors. Connect us to what's important.
Excited, sweetie?
A dedicated Fidelity advisor can help you open those doors. Backed by a team of specialists, your advisor helps you build a personalized, tax-smart investment strategy, identifying opportunities across your entire portfolio. And when life surprises you, your plan can change too. Because doors were meant to be opened.
At Deaver Golf Cars, we bring excitement to your golf car experience. We have an extensive range of new and refurbished inventory, and our team will fulfill all your sales, service, and rental needs. Whether you're teeing it up on the course, cruising through the neighborhood, or at the campground with family and friends, we have options to fit each and every lifestyle. Experience the Deaver difference, built on a tradition of excellence and service since 1978.
I drink Brain Java House Brew, packed with the brain power blend of essential vitamins and minerals my brain needs every day to get it done. Be mindful, be present, turn on your brain.
Farm Vet is here to support you and your horse both in and out of the show ring. From our highly trained staff to the best horse health product selection, everything you need is just a few steps away. From brushes and bandages to all of your pharmacy needs, Farm Vet has just what you're looking for. From all of us to you, welcome to Farm Vet. We are Horse Health.
At Ringside Health, we've reimagined healthcare for the equestrian lifestyle, delivering personalized, executive-level care wherever your journey takes you. Whether you're at the barn, competing at a show, or relaxing at home, Ringside Health connects you to top-tier medical professionals. With a visit to our trailer or a quick call, expert care is always within reach. Our dedicated team travels with the equestrian community, providing in-person care at premier events across the country. Licensed nationwide, Ringside Health ensures seamless, convenient care through telemedicine, offering same-day prescriptions and personalized care plans no matter where you are. From acute care to wellness and functional medicine, Ringside Health is your trusted partner in achieving optimal health. At the show, at home, and everywhere in between. Ringside Health. Personalized care for the equestrian lifestyle. Healthcare that changes the way you show.
Welcome back. We're just concluded our midway here in Florida Coast Equipment Week 8 of the Winter Equestrian Festival, and our class being presented at the moment is the 4-star Dodd Technologies Table A Speed. Nicole Walker, as we're hearing from Peter Doubleday in the ring, is our leader with Atu de Tremble in 61.68, and we've seen a couple faster than that, albeit with faults. And thus far, there are actually two lines, both turning up from the Blue Ribbon Club Special Events Pavilion end of the arena, that are proving quite influential. Either the turn back to 3 to the Dodd Technologies double at 4, or the cask double of verticals on the way home in front of the International Club. Aaron Ballard now will show us and remind us the course here set by Nick Renat and Steve Stevens. Aaron, an Olympian last summer in Paris with the Rain family's Nicky van der Bisschop. Rides Ilan Furder's Colleen DeVille for this morning's class. Colleen DeVille by Kornad Obolensky. Nice, snug, shallow turn there, back from 2 to 3. And Aaron, super experienced. Aaron, actually a national hunter champion in Canada as well, won that title at the Royal about 8 or so years ago. And just delivered a very, very nice spot up to the Dodd Technologies double. Just looking between the screen and the arena there, she had just overturned. She was a little bit left of center of the flowers, and I wonder whether that left her with more than she wanted to do down the distance to the Lugano. The back rail is off the Lugano anyway, that is the fact. Aaron and Colleen DeVille. And here, this turn, we're seeing people really feel that they have to be deliberate and square up that turn and give their horses the time and preparation up to that double of verticals. And Aaron, not too slow, 63.18, but with the 4 faults and some very fast 4 faulters there in the mix, it will be worth 14th place at the moment. Sarah Siegel is our next to go. Her ride, Tom Hanks. Biscay Baloo for Horatio Street Ventures, and a rider we've had with us throughout circuit. Last time riding international for Sarah was during week 4 of circuit. Week 4, of course, using those trip over to the Derby field at Equestrian Village for the international classes, and it's, again, that's a nice way to break up circuit. If you take this week as well, it's a little bit different for those who aren't on teams because they get to jump their Grand Prix on Sunday afternoon rather than under lights on a Saturday night. And again, it just helps the horses as well mentally. You know, a change can be as good as a rest, and indeed with the so many divisions being offered here and other competition opportunities, you're easily able to move a horse up and down the levels in the area and not be going for international every single week with your top horse. And you see that in people's records as well. We had another rider here who the 5 stars, you know, are not quite for them yet, so they were able to ride at the top level 2 weeks ago, come back, they're riding this week at 4-star. Those are 2 4-star weeks, and then you know, sit out week 7, and in their case also sitting out week 5. They had done 4, 6 and 8. Sarah Siegel and Tom Hanks. Completing their round, but again, it is going to be at the cost of penalties. We're still seeing very, very few clears over this course, so technical enough from our team of designers. Sarah there, who had been top 10 in the Adequan WEF Challenge yesterday, so we'll see her comfortably back as part of the Grand Prix starting order Sunday. With Evergate Stables LLC's Dorado de Riverland, it is Niall Nassar. Niall, Egyptian Olympian and winner for the first time of one of the major Grand Prix here at circuit. He'd actually been a Grand Prix winner in the past, but it was that feature Grand Prix win for the very first time during week 1 of circuit with ESI Ali this year. So 4 faults there for Niall and Dorado de Riverland. Niall, again, another one who's going to be waiting and watching the qualification list for the Grand Prix. He didn't quite make it in terms of automatic qualification out of the Adequan WEF Challenge yesterday. Staying with Olympians, it is Rodrigo Pessoa who goes next. Almost Mr. Olympics, especially in terms of equestrianism in Brazil. Rodrigo Este de Mogre. Rodrigo top 10 in the Adequan WEF Challenge yesterday, so he is not a team rider for Brazil this weekend. He's going to take Saturday night off, but he will be all guns blazing for Sunday then in the $200,000 Grand Prix. Again, from that side shot there, having jumped the Dodd, you just saw Rodrigo one stride out, just move his body and his hands, just making that last final adjustment going into that horizontal strike due to corporation rails. Yeah, he might not win every class, but he certainly rides to win, and he rides like a winner. Rodrigo, he's just saying on WEF Weekly the other week how, that World Cup qualifier win in Washington, he almost didn't bring Major Tom to the show because he didn't think the small arena would suit him, and he ends up as the winner against a very, very strong field. Look at that time as well, 59.27, a time that would have been worth the win, but again, it is the A element of the cask, double of verticals down. This time, Rodrigo pays the price with Este de Mogre, and it's the difference between first and 10th. So a little bit of work to do tomorrow night as part of the Belgian team, because Peter de Brabander will also be hoping that he can pick up Grand Prix qualification in the first round tomorrow night. Peter, protected there in the middle of the draw. He's going to go number 2 alongside the Conter sisters. Emily will go first, Peter number 2, Zoe Conter the number 3, and we've already seen their anchor leg rider, Nicola Philipparts, in the ring this morning in the Dodd Technologies. Peter de Brabander and Dothraki Warlord. Mermesar out of a Diamant de Semi-Mer from Martin Huygens. Still on the 0 score. They turn back to jump that Florida Coast equipment. Did the back rail fall there? It looked like it might have done. Yes. Will it be 4 or will it be 8? It'll be 8. Again, the A element. Peter, just that natural instinct to move up when you know you've had the rail in a class against the clock. Move up, because you never know how fast you might end up being with the faults and how it might be able to keep you up the rankings. Still not a huge amount of clear rounds here, so a fast 4 is valuable. An 8, though, as we saw, a little bit too far down the order, really, to feature. Pablo Barrios. Pablo owns and rides the Eldorado van der Zeshoek bred Japloop. Next to go. I've seen this horse a couple of times. I think amongst us announcers, we've all been working quite hard to give it its own identity rather than the very famous Japelou moniker. I think it's a little bit like an athlete's number. The name Japelou should perhaps be retired from the sport. And this one jumping well. Looks feisty enough as well. I think if Pablo really leant in and put his shoulder to this, they could be very, very competitive. He does look like he's kind of riding at 7/8 though. Just well within themselves, but naturally big striding horse. Again, he just turns that little bit short up to the cask. He takes the risk and it doesn't pay off. Very, very few coming up with the correct answer to that question. 65-14 and 4 faults for Pablo and Japloop. Juan Pablo Gaspar Albanez and Fenyor Haas. Biscuit Balu van der Mesplier is the sire of this one for Albanez. Riding for Ronaldo Roberto Daza. Mexico with a good draw for the first round, and Albanez will go as the second rider for them, with the horse we saw go well for him here under the lights on Wednesday night, ODL VDM. Didn't get the qualification out of the WEF yesterday, but this horse, Fenyor, not much to prove. There's a real opportunity here in his mind with this second horse. He can have a bit of a cut at this class. Unfortunately, he's carrying the one down. It'll be 2 down with the Bainbridge down now as well. We haven't seen the last go frequently in this initial and only round of the Dodd Technologies 32,000 Table A speed. But go it does, unfortunately, for Juan Pablo Albanez. You see the Brain Juice, the peach-coloured fence down there as well. I have to say, seeing them kind of physically for the first time yesterday in the U25 Welcome, those Brain Juice fences, they're great colours because they are so different to what we see week in, week out. The bright green of the Oxford at the top of the ring and the peach of the vertical. It'll be interesting to see how they are used later on in the Brain Juice U25 semi-final Grand Prix. Captain Brian Cannan and Arctic JTZ for the USA. Brian's Glenby Farm operation right here in Wellington, just a couple of 100 yards from the showgrounds. Brian, when he rode for Ireland as a Nations Cup and Grand Prix rider right around the world, riding in some Nations Cups in the Middle East and also frequently here in North America once he was based here, having left the Irish Army Equitation School, chose a couple of springs ago to declare then for the USA, having been here for a long time. Just going to have that rail down coming through the Dodd Technology. So on the 4 faults, he's on the back foot position-wise with 8 clear rounds that he cannot go in front of. And actually, then again, going back to some of those times from our 4 faulters, Alessandro Volpi, Rodrigo Pessoa, Nicola Philipparts, Niall Nassar, all had times that would have actually won the class or gone into the lead in the class had they been clear. So it really is going to take something to become the fastest 4 faulter, and also proving just how valuable a clear is going to be. The frustration of it is, he's one of the few to get the cask right, but had his problems over on the other side of the ring, the other double, the Dodd Technology. 72 on the clock, will be relatively steady against our time allowed. So it's 20th overall for Captain Brian Cannan and Arctic JTZ. So Mark Blumen, a podium and a top 10 already in Winter Equestrian Festival Grand Prix action this circuit. Cocolina VV is his ride for this morning's Dodd Technology, and he is in it to win it. Look at the way he's going. He got his qualification for the World Cup yesterday. No Colombian team in Nations Cup, so he knows he's got tomorrow night off. Probably like a lot of riders has made his plans with a group of friends to come and watch. Now, you just saw there was just this interruption to the rhythm. There was a little bit of disagreement between them as to exactly what the plan was, having really stoked it over the first few fences. They got, it looked like a really nice spot over the Duta, but Mark then just wanted to balance. I think maybe he wanted a tighter turn than Kokolina was kind of prepared to give. They ended up in disagreement, and then when they came back to the brain juice, there wasn't really a spot there for them. They've had the Lugano down as well. That's where their 8 faults that we're seeing so far comes in. And now with the pressure off, you know, again, riding at 60-70% speed and pace and commitment, maybe the cask is coming up a little bit easier, or maybe if you're going by that stage, it doesn't matter anymore. You don't overanalyze it. You just let it happen, and it comes, and it's a freebie. I don't know. But 8 faults there for Mark Blumen on a ride that he certainly set off like he was going to try and win this class, and why wouldn't you? Britt Raflowitz is our next to go. Brittany, who rides as an individual this weekend, alongside the Israeli riders who are named to the team. She rides this horse, Semii, for Ashley Bond show jumping, her teammate. Brittany spent summer in Europe with the Israeli A squad for Hans Horn as part of the Israeli qualification run. Israel went to that regional qualifier at Valkenswaard in the autumn of 2023 to pick up their place for the Olympic Games, and Brittany was over in Europe as part of the shows that led up to the selection for that qualification. Very, very successful rider, particularly at the Tryon venue. She rides there a lot. She's a stalwart of the Grand Prix, and the Grand Prix Winners' Circle pretty much up there as well in North Carolina. .65.78 and top 20 for Brittany Raflowitz, and Semii with the early 4 faults on the round. Again, we're just seeing quite a few have faults elsewhere, and then frustratingly jump the whole final line in good style, leaving everything standing. Now with the family North Stars of Aurora, New York's Thomas Court Ballypatrick, it is Charlotte Jacobs. Charlotte, who will ride on the US team here tomorrow night. Charlotte with Playboy JTZ. As they spent the summer in Ireland a couple of years ago, came back with her horse Milshorn immediately into a Grand Prix week and a victory at one of the Split Rock Kentucky Autumn Tour shows. Look at the angle she put on that, but now she's having to ride this sort of hook line because you're out on a curve and then you're trying to come back center and straight to the double. Jumps it very well. Thomas Court Ballypatrick past the in-gate. Again, it's not something we've talked an awful lot about, but you can never discount the lure of an in-gate to a horse. They know that their friends are back out there. One of the things that's so incredible about our sport is that the trust and partnership and harmony these horses must have with their riders, because for a horse to be out in a big arena like this on their own is so unnatural for them. So for them to be focused back in on their rider, trust their rider, and perform the way they do to win Grand Prix, just really does go to that partnership. Charlotte Jacobs, Thomas Court Ballypatrick proved their partnership with a clear round. 61.60 is the time taken, and that is going to be worth right up there. It is right into the lead for Charlotte, overtaking Nicole Walker by 0.08 of a second. Tuta Tremblay and Nicole down into second. Marilyn Little down into third. Charlotte Jacobs, Thomas Court Ballypatrick becomes the ones to beat. So why don't we just throw in the world number 1 to see if he can take it. He won the Gothenburg Cup, the Grand Prix class of the World Cup show at home in Gothenburg in the Scandinavium last weekend. He's been with us on circuit, but of course, big show at home in Sweden. The world number 1, the world champion, the World Cup champion has to go there. But great to have him back this week. Henrik qualified for the Grand Prix on Sunday. and rides Steely Dan in this class. Actually, it was interesting to see this horse. I saw this horse throughout the Doha Tour last spring at the Al Shakab venue, jumping all January, and it was quite interesting. They had 4- and 5-star shows. They had 3 classes a day. The first class each day was a meter 40, so quite accessible in terms of dimensions. But again, going back to the relationship, the jumps, all the technicality was at the 4 and in the appropriate weeks 5-star level. And sometimes you were jumping onto the lights and everything. It was a hugely educational tour for horses. And Henrik von Eckermann, he didn't win a lot of classes with Steely Dan, but he kept talking to me about how much he thought of this horse and how he'd really grown jumping those meter 40 classes with that little bit of added technicality and pressure. He just unfortunately catches the second part of the cask double. Henrik von Eckermann and Steely Dan, 59.63. You know, look at Henrik's position. My goodness, if there's anyone who has built their whole position around going very positively and very fast, he's always up posting out of the saddle. He's forward. And that's because he can trust his horses not to fall back behind him and stop. You saw what happened when, you know, you did have that disagreement between him and King Edward in Versailles. Very, very fast from Henrik, but it is unfortunately with 4 faults. Margie Goldstein-Engel, Jack of Hearts. Margie, one of those on the roll of honour of the finale, the WEF 12 Rolex Grand Prix. She won it, memory serves, 2018, and it was such a celebratory evening for sort of girl power. I remember, you know, the likes of Laura Kraut and Beezy, such great competitors themselves, being around and just fangirling over Margie as their winner. They were so, so pleased and proud for her. Margie's done it all right the way to Olympic level. And again, the tune she can get out of these big horses and the speed she can get out of these big horses. She's doing a little bit of forcing the horse in front of her. You see her shaking the reins the odd time, but Jack of Hearts knows his job at hand, knows what Margie wants. He's keeping his feet out of the way, and the time is going to be pretty good here too. Margie and Jack of Hearts, 61.57. There we go. Margie Goldstein-Engel takes up the lead, and the margin now, having been 0.08 between Charlotte Jacobs and Nicole Walker, is now 0.03 of a second between Margie and Charlotte. But the USA in a 1-2 scenario in our Dodd Technologies meter 45 at this stage. Margie and Henrik both qualified for the Grand Prix as well as a result of yesterday's Adequan WEF Challenge Cup. 6 more to see in our one and only round of Dodd Technologies action here this morning. Marieka and Vahini next to go. French rider. Road Youth Championships for France, and actually frequent visitor to us here on circuit. Rides a lot of the springs in Florida. Recently took a tour away from Wellington to go and ride at the venue in Western Florida at Sarasota. Actually had 2 in the top 5 in the meter 45 International Grand Prix up there a couple of weeks ago, including 4th place with this horse, Vahini. And a very, very competitive round marred, unfortunately, by the A element. Just a little bit of a stutter there in front of the last as well. You saw them rattle across the 2 top rails. Just Vahini having a right look down into the base, for whatever reason, of the Bainbridge. But it stayed standing, but it is going to be 8 faults in all. And in fact, yeah, no, because the front rail of the last did come down. So 2 down on the final line. As we go on to Laura Kraut. Laura is going to be the stalwart of the US team tomorrow night. She will go in the anchor leg and actually will go with this horse. I think this is one of the few Nations Cup horses we're seeing this morning in the Dodd Technology. St. Bride's Farm of Upperville, Virginia's Très Bien by Toulon. Laura finished second in the Adequan WEF Challenge Cup yesterday with another horse, so she is very, very well mounted for both Nations Cup and, of course, then for Grand Prix. She has her Adequan WEF Challenge Cup. It's quite interesting. She has for several seasons, just like Martin Fuchs and a few other top riders, been riding in the air vest. Actually, she's just going to go off course here. She's just taken this horse, Très Bien, as far as she wants to today to just get ready for tomorrow night. As we said, we haven't seen too many other, if any other, Nations Cup horses, and Laura just wanted Très Bien, in essence, to get his toes a little bit wet, get a feel for the ring, and she wanted a feel for how he was jumping, how he was responding, how ready he was in terms of the level of training. And now Laura, together with her partner Nick Skelton, will put together a training and preparation plan for the next 24 hours to hopefully deliver double clear for the US from Très Bien. But those few moments in the ring will tell them a lot about what they need to do. Charlie Jones, speaking of team riders, Charlie is going to be the number 2 in the ring for Great Britain. Montserrat OS is his ride. Over the winter, Charlie has been showing internationally over on the West Coast in Thermal. That was during their December 2 weeks, the culmination of the Major League Series, and then riding a little bit in Ocala this spring up to the recent World Cup show up there. Front rail off the Brain Juice, going past the in-gate for Charlie here at Montserrat. Not going to be his Nations Cup horse tomorrow night, as he very quickly follows it up with a fault at the Flowers, the floral winged vertical. So then with the pressure being off, you don't see him anything like as tight as other riders. For instance, Rodrigo Pessoa on that rollback turn to the Florida Coast Equipment Kubota fence. Yep. I don't quite know how you explain this in equestrian terms, but it seems to me that basically you need to approach and ride the cask like you've lost the class. You've already had a fence down, and then it stays up for you. Fernando Paraquin, Delphin, and Eureka SDN. Qualifier yesterday out of the WEF Challenge. Fernando riding for Juan Vargas here. Pan Am Games rider for Mexico at the Pan American Games in Santiago de Chile. Mexico unlucky to miss out on a team medal. They ended up in 4th place. And of course, as I'm reminded, that is in relation to eventing. Fernando Paraquin, championship rider at eventing, not doing very much show jumping until this spring. Again, first week riding during circuit here during Nations Cup Week 8. And I wonder whether the Mexican structure had just asked him to come down. Fernando, from memory, and I'll just confirm it for you here in a second, not going to be one of the riders for the team tomorrow night. No, he's not. Clear the Bainbridge last. Bainbridge Company is going to be our title sponsors next week of week 9, 5-star week here. Fernando Parakin and Eureka SDN. It is going to be 16 for jumping. So Wilton Porter. Wilton with his family's Sleepy Pea Ranch's stern marker by Staccato. Wilton and Lucas, of course, first came to, I think, global prominence the day they both took individual gold medals at North American Youth Championships, juniors and young riders, respectively. And since then, I've been training for a long time with Jeroen Dubbeldam, and became a feature on the European circuit as well. Wilton's not going all out here. He's more riding for a relatively competitive clear round. You know, it just seems to be carving that middle path. And like we were talking about earlier on, communication with the horse, that's going to be easier for the horse to understand than being asked to wind right back. And today, you know, as we said, the course is going to be a course that invites attacking riding, whereas yesterday it was a course that you had to step up to the plate really with for the Adequan WEF Challenge, because the WEF Challenge this particular week was going to be that one rounder. But from the designer's point of view, they needed to ensure that it was going to select the right horses and riders to make for a good Grand Prix and make people feel prepared for the Grand Prix. Wilton there just didn't quite find the back rail of the Kubota fence, and then had two more down in quick succession. Now, maybe the cask you could put down to the hex that everyone has had, but the Bainbridge as well. It could just be that his horse, Sternmark, is one of those horses that once it has a rail, it gets quite annoyed with itself, quite fussy, and maybe some horses, they just tend to mentally give up, and they don't really bother for a fence or two. So sometimes, for some horses, one fence can very quickly turn into 2 or 3. So last to go in the Dodd Technologies for Venezuela, to see whether it will be a US or a Venezuelan victory, is going to be Juan Hidalgo Show Stables, Baltasar de Tivoli and Juan Hidalgo de Reba. Two-star Grand Prix contenders during Fidelity Week 5 here. So stepping up a wee bit to join us on the 4-star tour alongside the Nations Cup week. Venezuela with a team of 4, Juan Ortiz, Luis Fernando Larrazabal, the current leader of the Hermes Meter 50 Challenge Series, Alejandro Caroli and Antonio Martinez, who will go first in the ring for Venezuela tomorrow night. Venezuela have been long time as well, very consistently putting out a team for Nations Cup here in Wellington. Juan Hidalgo will finish with just the 4, 64.73 on the clock will mean that that translates to a 20th position on the rankings. So it is going to be victory for the United States of America, victory for Margie Goldstein-Engel with Jack of Hearts. We'll have a look at our results here of the Dodd Technologies 4-star Meter 45 Classic in just a moment. We'll get everything codified for you, and then we'll have awards here in the International Ring at Wellington. Thanks so much to Dodd Technologies. They are a presenting sponsor of our live stream throughout the whole 12-week circuit. Dodd Technologies are industry leaders in creative design and technology support services for sports, entertainment, corporate and special events. Visit them online at doddtechnologies.com. And on the subject of our live stream, we'd also like to thank USEF, US Equestrian Federation, and their USEF network are great supporters of our live streaming product here from Wellington International's Winter Equestrian Festival. This week 8 is in the colours of Florida Coast Equipment. Our thanks so much to them. Florida Coast is your trusted local dealer of choice. You can explore their lineup of powerful tractors, versatile RTVs and agile zero-turn mowers designed for small farms, landscaping, arenas and so much more. Visit them today, enjoy your equestrian journey, and they wish everyone the very best of luck over these 12 weeks of circuit, and particular this Florida Coast Equipment Week 8. So Margie Goldstein-Engel, Jack of Hearts, taking the victory. Charlotte Jacobs for the USA. Thomas Ballypatrick in second. Nicole Walker, Atu de Tremble in third for Canada. Marilyn Little and Olympic van der Noordheuvel in fourth. Gabriel de Matos Machado and Legoland Sandro, one of the very early horse and rider pairs to go, held on with a clear and 62.13 on the clock for overall fifth. Then it was two for Israel. Albi Michan and Jack, Ashley Bond and Nightwish, sixth and seventh. Delaney Flynn, eighth for the USA with Namamia. Caracol de la Roque, Carl Cook, ninth, and Juan Ortiz and Vintage in 10th. So Nikki Walker, Atu de Tremble, not actually with us for awards, but of course it's very, very busy for these professional riders, most of them here with a lot of clients at the show as well, and horses themselves probably in some of the 16 rings around venue. Charlotte Jacobs, though, steps forward with Thomas Court Ballypatrick to be honoured for the red ribbon runner-up spot in our Dodd Technologies competition this morning. Dodd, who've worked very closely now for a couple of seasons with the team here at Wellington International to raise the game on sports presentation through the LED boards, the lighting, and the integration of all that, especially into the Saturday Night Lights programs here. Margie Engel, though, Margie Goldstein-Engel and Jack of Hearts are going to be a very, very popular winner of this class. They're very popular whenever they win. Margie, several times over the leading US rider in US legs of the Global Champions Grand Prix circuit. And taking today's four-star winners cooler, the Dodd Technology Meter 45 Jumper Classic with Jack of Hearts. Margie Goldstein-Engel. Well, we'll honour our winner in traditional fashion here with the playing for Margie Goldstein-Engel, as we have so many times before, the national anthem of the United States of America. So that's us done and dusted with four-star jumping today, but we, of course, have a full day in the International Arena. We'll bring you all that on the stream, and we'll be back with you as well on commentary for tonight's Brain Juice Under 25 Grand Prix. It is the semi-final of the Brain Juice Under 25 series, and we'll have the first horse and rider in the ring in that 50-strong Grand Prix tonight under the lights at 6:30. All to play for, the open water in play under the lights, and just the semi-final. One more series of the Brain Juice to go after this in week 10 to conclude that always close-fought series, and actually a series that has produced some real stars of the sport in the past. Going into this week as well, Hallie Grimes, the current leader, Emily Dehoff, Tim Brennan, Isabel Amon and Taylor Corley are top 5 on the Brain Juice U25 standings. If you want to catch up with all of the standings, whether you're on grounds or online. On grounds, pick up the Weekly Wire, and if you are online, you can find the Weekly Wire, the weekly updated circuit magazine, on the Wellington International website. So enjoy the rest of the day, and we'll talk to you this evening from the Brain Juice U25 semi-final Grand Prix.